Syracuse, New York, the brand new Miss Budweiser going out for its first competitive heat. This is the 8th Miss Budweiser for Bernie Little under those beautiful colors. The driver, Todd Yarling, for the Joe Ritchie Spirit of Detroit, will be competing against the Budweiser. Todd out of Madison, Indiana. Andy Coker out of West Palm Beach, Florida, in his second race as an unlimited hydroplane driver, finished second in Miami last week. Jim Kropfeld in his first race in the new Bud, as we said, the beer wagon making its debut. Let's take a look at what happened in Heat 1B. It was a 3-boat heat. The Miss Budweiser you see here, the American Speedy Printing, and Todd Yarling aboard the Joe Ritchie Spirit of Detroit. But problems for both the American Speedy Printing and the Joe Ritchie Spirit of Detroit, unable to start their engines. As a result, you got it, a 1-boat race. So Jim Kropfeld simply piloted the new Budweiser 5 laps around this 2-mile course and picked up the 400 points, which go along for that national point standings. That also means we shall proceed on to Heat 1A, the restart of this heat after the accident and the Kenny Toyota Volvo. Steve Reynolds, you got some new life now coming into 1A, a rerun.
Yeah, well, you know, I guess it's a break in our favor. We could use one. We just want to put on a good competitive show.
Jerry, you had a great start in 1A, the original start there. Tough break.
Yeah, I was, I would have liked to kept going. I'm going to try and remember how I did that.
Well, let's hope he can. The Executone telephone's on its way for the restart of Heat 1A. We'll return in a moment. Back on Onondaga Lake in Syracuse, New York, the restart of Heat 1A. The 7-11 with Steve Reynolds, the Aboy Alberto with Jerry Hopp, and Scott Pierce, the Executone telephones. Here is the reason for this restart of Heat 1A. Moving at a speed of better than 150 miles per hour, Leif Borgeson and the Kenny Toyota Volvo. A mass of air getting underneath that boat, and it blew over. All the way over, landing on its back, bouncing off the water, and then landing upright. We understand Leif Borgeson, the driver, however, will be all right. Let's look at the drivers of Heat 1A, the restart. First, Jerry Hopp, the man with the outstanding start in the original running of Heat 1A. The Aboy Alberto of beef jerky. Scott Pierce and the victor down in Miami a week ago, Executone telephones. And making it a trio, Steve Reynolds out of Seattle, the Miss 711, the turbine-powered unlimited hydroplane. All 3 boats are now running. The Aboy Alberto beef jerky back one a ways on the inside Executone telephone. Steve Reynolds and the 711 in lane number 2. Here we go. At the sound of the gun, all the boats are behind the starting line. Good start. Here they come, rumbling into the north turn. On the right of your screen, Executone telephone. Scotty Pierce on the left is Steve Reynolds and the Miss 711. Heading down the back chute on this 2-mile course. It was 2.5 last year. Is Scott Pierce in first place ahead of Steve Reynolds and the Miss 711. The 711 behind the rooster tail and trailing somewhat behind Executone telephone. Scott Pierce, of course, the winner in Miami a week ago, hoping to make it a string here in 1985. The skid fin, as you see, throwing water high into the air, trying to hug the buoys as tight as he can, holding on to lane number 1 and trying to extend that lead ahead of Reynolds and the Miss 711 is Scott Pierce and the Executone telephones. Coming down and completing lap number 1. And a wider lead now for Scott Pierce and Executone telephone. Third place to Jerry Hopp and the Aboy Alberto. Coming down now again into that north turn. The only boat on the 1985 circuit at this time anyway with the Merlin engines, the Rolls-Royce Merlin engines, is the Executone telephone. That used to be the staple engine. Everybody used them just a couple of years ago. Now you've got the Griffin engines, the Rolls-Royce Griffin out of the Budweiser, the turbine engines, and very few Merlin engine used these days. Again, the Executone telephone, the boat in its second year. And in the 5th year of sponsorship is Executone Telecommunications. In second place, the 711, a brand new sponsor for a boat. They have sponsored races, but now they've got a ride. And the Aboy Alberto, the sponsorship owned by Art Alberto out of Seattle, very colorful, popular man in unlimited hydroplane racing. Nice ride for Scott Pierce. The bigger course here. In Miami, we were on a 1 2/3 course. The speeds weren't as high. Here in the qualifications, as here, Scott Pierce and Executone telephones was much higher, up in the 120s, as was Steve Reynolds' qualifying time for the 711. Scott Pierce, first place. Second place, the 7-Eleven and Steve Reynolds. You hear the totally different sound of that turbine engine as you watch Executive telephones going by, the crew watching from the finger pier down on the pits. Pierce hoping to pick up another 400 points. He's in second place in the national point standings. Pierce, who worked with the crew throughout the winter getting their Merlin engines ready, one of the guys not afraid to get the grease up to the elbows and simply roll up the sleeves and help out. Right now, he's in his first hot boat ride in his career. He's been in the Unlimiteds for 5 years. Now he's riding in a good ride. Steve Reynolds, second place, and the turbine-powered Miss 7-Eleven. He may be happy to settle for the 300 points and preserve his engines for the final heat. That's where it counts. That's where the money's on the table. As you see the Executive telephones, the blue, light blue and white, beautifully painted boat, built and designed by Jim Lucero, of course, the owner, co-owner of the Miller American, which had its problems trying to qualify yesterday and will not compete here in Syracuse, but hopefully will in Detroit in a couple of weeks. Who likes what they see as Executive telephones and Scott Pierce moves along in first place here in the restart of Heat 1A. Again, Leif Borgeson, the driver of the Frank Kenny Toyota Volvo, is going to be all right after that blowover in the original running of Heat 1A. He's in the hospital now. There you see Bernie Little and Steve Woomer on the far right. Steve, the owner of that boat, the Miss 7-Eleven. Steve Reynolds driving for Mr. Woomer. The Boy Alberta, one of the older boats using those turbocharged Allison engines from the old P-51 Mustang World War II fighter airplanes. Again, Pierce holding on to first place as he comes down the main chute on a gray day here in Syracuse, New York. Back to second place. Boat's running quite well, as a matter of fact, on this rather choppy water. Doesn't look like it here, but you get out there in lane 1, 2, or 3, and oh my, it can be real bumpy about this time, 3, 4 laps into a heat. The Boy Alberto on the far right, being lapped now by the Executive telephones, the 7-Eleven coming down in the foreground. Keep in mind now, we have 7 boats running. They will take at least 5 or 6 for the final. So if you get any points at all, you're going to be in pretty good shape to get into the final heat here on Onondaga Lake. So Scott Pierce and the Executive telephones, averaging a little over 105 miles per hour in this heat, will take the checkered flag as he comes down the chute for the last time. Executive telephones, Scotty Pierce, winner of the restart of 1A. Executive telephones trying to overtake that national point lead against American Speedy Printing, picks up another 400 points. 300 for Miss 7-Eleven and a Boy Alberto with 225. Let's go down to the pits with Jim Hendrick.
Well, Don, we'll try to get near the driver right now. Let's see if we can talk to him. Kind of overshot his mark coming in, kind of hot. Danny High talking to him right now as crew chief, getting to be a habit.
Well, every heat we we finished, we won, so we like that at Executone. We didn't have to run very hard. The crew did their excellent usual job, and the boat's prepared excellently, and it just doesn't miss a beat. So we're pleased, but we'll be more pleased in the final heat if we're standing here talking to you.
When a heat is delayed, how does that set you up your mental attitude?
Oh, it doesn't bother me much. I feel sorry for Leif, and I'm concerned about him, but I have a job to do, and I'm a professional, so I do it.
Okay, now over by the 7-Eleven, I understand that Don is up there now with Steve Reynolds.
Steve Reynolds, Steve Woomer, owner, driver, respectively. Second place. I have a feeling you're saying I'm taking it easy on this engine right now.
You're looking at the Steve and Steve show. We're just getting ready to show you what we're going to do.
How about you, Wooms?
Yep, the final heat's everything that counts, and that's where we want to be, and we'll be there.
You've done a lot of testing here this morning with your different turbine engines. You've got Lycoming people in here now. Are you getting what you want right now, or what are you trying to do?
Well, the problem is we don't have our test cell here. Back home, we have a dyno. We're using the boat as a dyno. First time we've run this motor, and so every time we go out, we're making adjustments and changes.
And so far, the boats and the crowd has been lucky. A little gusty, but no rain yet. Back with the high performance corner in just a moment.